absolutely every car we see through here in the last 3 years has had a major ethanol contamination issue. Hi Walter, I'm Simeon.
Hello Simeon.
Welcome to Classic Collective. We're a service and maintenance business. We look after cars from approximately 1950 through to the year 2000. And we major on making our customers' cars reliable for driving around and enjoying. So we're not really in the sort of collect and put in a garage and look at it market. We're in the market of people who actually use their cars. I'll show you a bit about the cars. So the ones down on the right here, for various reasons, are ready to get worked on. Actually, the Jaguar in the corner, this is an XK150 fixed head coupe. And we're just tracking down some auto electrical issues with this one, but this is quite a good example of cars that we look after. It's designed really to do long distance driving, brake upgrade, upgrades to the cooling system and to the fuel delivery system, power steering, big brakes, so that the cars are reliable, easy to drive on modern roads. And you know that people are going to be comfortable doing 100+ mile events, and actually that's one of the things that a lot of our customers do. They go on historic tours. Either this is more sort of a holiday style event car, but we have just had 2 customers go across South America, which you know, there were a lot of issues to overcome with lubricants and brake fluids and things like that, because of the altitude and the heat and also the cold that they were going to experience.
I think that's something I associate the Classic Collective with, is this kind of balance between originality and then sensible, pragmatic upgrades that give the customer that you know, ability to use and enjoy their car in a modern situation and kind of relax into the fact that they've got something that they can rely on, and they're not going to spend their whole holiday lying underneath it trying to fix it. And I think that's a really nice way of looking at it, because there's a lot of cars that are tucked away in collections and, you know, not really used in that way, whereas I think all of your customers seem to zoom in and out and you know, be actually enjoying it quite often all year round, or using them more frequently than other owners. Yeah,
the idea is to stop short at hot rod, building a hot rod, basically. So it's to add to the car's ability without changing it from what it was.
And I think you've sort of kind of on that front, you've partnered with quite a few different people, you know, to supply maybe upgraded starters and alternators and electrical stuff and cooling and all of those upgrades.
We work with a lot of small engineering firms that produce specific solutions for the classic car market, whether that's better brakes, whether it's better cooling, whether it's better lubricants, frankly, because there are lots of small areas, 8 small areas, that if you concentrate with classic cars, you can make them almost as, if not more reliable than a modern car. It's about keeping temperature under control. It's about having the right amount of fuel delivered. It's about the car being properly serviced with the correct lubricants, so that everything's working in the right temperature range. And actually, if you look after a car and keep it within the right temperature range, it'll run. As soon as the temperatures, whether it's internal in the engine with the lubricants, they spike, you start to get wear and other issues. Whether it's outside the engine, you know, you can get problems with wiring looms, because as the heat builds up in the engine bay, resistance goes up in the wiring loom, and that causes all sorts of problems. Same with the cooling system, and you know, it just goes on from there. So one of the key things is looking after heat in the car.
See what else you've got.
So this is a perfect example of what heat does to a motor car when it gets out of control. This is a Ginetta G15, so British sports car, kit car essentially. You'd turn your mother's 1000cc imp in the mid-70s into a little sports car. So it's rear-engined like the original imp, and a fiberglass monocoque, and the wonderful little cars. They water cool from the front, so they've got lots of pipe work all around them, and basically what's happened here is that there's been a leak amidship somewhere. All the water very quickly exited the car, and then the engine seized. So we're actually rebuilding the engine for that just over there. Over here, this is another car that's sort of suffering from a problem I know one of your products really helps with. It's a beautiful vehicle. It's a Ferrari Dino from the early 1970s. And it's been in, like a lot of these cars, it's been in a collection for the last 15 years or so. And what's happened, two things really. One is that fuel's just sat in, it's stratified, there's a lot of corrosion in the tank, but also the fuel pipes, they've got ethanol contamination in them, so they've all sort of started to fall apart, and they leak. And in the carburetors where the fuel's evaporated, there's a lot of emulsion, so essentially tank out, fuel lines out, carburetors in bits, clean everything up, replace all the gaskets and rubber pipe and that sort of thing. So it's very easy for cars that, you know, have been in storage.
So running issues at best, and at worst fire.
Yeah.
So it's a real problem.
So it's a real problem, and actually we used to see, if you go back 5 years ago, it was more a problem with long-term storage.
Sure.
The problem now is that fuel is a totally different beast. None of us notice that because it still smells the same at the pump, and it costs us too much money and we moan about it. But the reality is petrol, very different beast to what we're putting in cars 5 years ago. And it's much more corrosive to old cars. So we are seeing on average £800 worth of damage every year to 2 years with ethanol based E5 and E10 fuel.
So where does that cost go? Is it carburetor rebuilds and
carburetor rebuilds, draining and stripping and cleaning out tanks, replacing fuel hoses? Some of them very easy, it's only a couple of ends, but you get a Ferrari Dino where there's where there's very little space. It becomes way more of a problem. So Walter's got a product called Back to Fin that stabilizes the fuel. It deals with the bacterial infection that you essentially get inside the tank, and it cures the problem essentially. So I think they're £18 for a bottle. Saves you £800 worth of fuel system rebuild a year.
It's that's the £18 of two 250ml bottles. So it would do like 5 tanks of fuel roughly with that.
So
it's a 50-litre tank.
So roughly 600-700 miles in something like that. And you know, in something a little better, probably nearly 1,000 miles. And
although the average repair price is 800, I imagine on a Dino it's going to be
probably closer to 1,800 because you've got carbs are much more.
Exactly. Using my words, so what we realized is that the fuel is designed for modern cars to reach the exhaust gas stages. So, and the situation is right now that every car owner is facing issue with the fuels, especially with the ethanol content, which is harming the system. But what we also realized is that the engine runs hotter with that fuel. And we have aeration problems. So once a car, especially under temperature, or once a carb is mounted closer to the exhaust gas system, we have heat spots.
Yes.
Yeah, and the fuel is evaporating in the pipe.
Yes.
And then maybe you're driving in the middle of the traffic and the car stops and then the heat evaporates.
Yes.
And then you stop by 20 minutes, 30 minutes until you get the car
cool down.
Yeah.
to cool down.
And you can go again.
Yeah.
Well, what we were saying about heat management, actually, if we go and have a quick look at the Triumphs, one of the most common upgrades that people love to do is put a full stainless steel exhaust system in their car. And this is a perfect example of that. And heat management is a massive problem as soon as you do this. So everybody thinks about the 3 to 8 horsepower it might give you under the best circumstances. What they fail to realise is that what used to happen was that you had a huge cast iron manifold that was very good at getting rid of the heat down into the exhaust pipe and out of the bottom. And now what you've got is very thin-walled exhaust pipes, stainless steel exhaust pipes. And actually, if we ran this car now, they would glow red. And you could cook a sausage next to them. They're that hot. And of course, this is a non-cross-flow head. So you've got your inlet manifold sat directly above your exhaust, and that does exactly that. It evaporates the fuel. So in this instance, we've actually wrapped the exhaust pipes to make sure that heat goes through the exhaust pipe. But as you were saying, the problem is worse because of modern fuels. They evaporate so much quicker than they did just 5 to 10 years ago. So anybody thinking about modifying their Classic, they also need to think about the knock-on effect of doing that. If it's a stainless steel exhaust system, then you need to wrap
it.
I can see
you have rabbit out. Here.
Yeah. And you might also, even though you've done that, you might also need to upgrade the cooling of the car and make sure that the heat that is coming out of it, even though it's vastly reduced, has somewhere to exit. So in this case, there's actually also a Revitec cooling fan. So what started out as maybe a £500 manifold and exhaust front of the exhaust system has actually turned into a £1,500 job. Wrap, upgrade the cooling, and all of those sorts of things. So that's always something to think about if you're changing things.
In the time we used lead, from the 50s to the 90s.
Yes.
It was very easy because they handled that with the amount of lead they add.
Yes.
Yeah. So now we know that lead is very toxic to anyone.
Yeah, to everyone.
To anyone. It's everywhere because the amount they add was huge. It was incredible, honestly speaking. And they started in the 80s, in the 90s to add that ether components with that flash point by up to -30. Yeah. Now we have a mixture with different gases in the fuel, plus ethanol.
Yes.
So what happens over the winter time? The ether component will evaporate due to the low flash point.
Yes.
This means finally
the octane level goes down.
Yes.
Yes.
You're right. And the behavior of the ethanol is the worst, I would say. Yeah. If you drive a car or you have a pure ethanol, 100% ethanol is not that big deal. Yeah, but the mixture out of it we have right now, that's the big problem.
Right.
Yeah, because ethanol is water mixable.
Yes.
And the water and the ethanol is mixable. So what happens is, in each and every tank we have condensed water.
Yes.
Due to tank breathing. So once the air is shrinking or the temperatures drop down in the night,
it's pulling atmospheric water.
The air is shrinking and sucking in fresh air. But the fresh air is coming in.
It's damp.
Bringing water.
Mist.
Yeah.
This means the water level is rising from time to time. So what happens is that the water is sucking out the ethanol from the fuel mixture. In the bottom of the tank, it remains a water-ethanol mixture. And the ethanol is switching to vinegar in a short time. And this causes all this corrosion from the tank, pipe, pumps, carbs, injection system to the injectors.
Yes.
And this is what we see right now. Everywhere, anything.
Absolutely every car we see through here in the last 3 years has had a major ethanol contamination issue.
And how does the Back-to-Fin product tackle that?
Look, the Back-to-Fin product is a multi-function product.
Yes.
So we add here a water mixable corrosion inhibitor. So it's water mixable. So once we have that issue that we have in the bottom tank, the water ethanol mixture, it creates a perfect corrosion inhibition. This means there is no corrosion. So even if you have it in the pipe pumps or in the carbs, for example, if only one drop of water contamination will be causing the same effect what I mentioned earlier. It sucks out the ethanol, and if there is direct contact with a needle, for example, it corrodes, and then it's gone. Or the membrane seats, or what else? And this is one benefit we add. So we have a water mixable corrosion inhibitor in it, as well as a petrochemical corrosion inhibitor, so that we protect everything.
So there are two types of corrosion inhibition. One which is water miscible, and one which is will mix with petrochemical products.
Then we add the lubricity component. It's a lead substitute where we can lubricate all the parts, including the inlet and outlet valves, especially the outlet valves, because we are passing that chemical through the combustion, similar to what lead did, to protect the outlet valve seats. This is one of the most important points, also protect the outlet valve. The valve and the seat. And then we have a cleanup, keep clean and clean up cleaning agents inside, to keep the engine clean or clean up the engine. So once we have, for example, carbon deposits on the piston heads, it goes on fire. Once you inject or the fuel is coming, maybe it's going knocking, because there is fire there.
Pre-detonation.
Pre-ignition. And we add a catalytic converter who improve the combustion. So you will get out a much more better or efficient combustion with less soot emissions. You will get out more horsepower. The engine runs quieter. The combustion process is more efficient. I would say it's harmonized.
And it's cooler as well.
It's cooler.
So the cooler it goes to what you were saying earlier about the heat
keeping
being
heat
a problem.
Control.
The cooler the combustion, the more efficient is it. This means you will get out more torque. Get out more horsepower, and the engine runs smoother, quieter. This is the effect what happens.
So it's really a product that goes from the tank to the exhaust pipe via the engine and does the whole. So
all the issues with the customer is faced with at the moment, we can handle with that additive.
£18 for 1,000 miles.
Not bad value.
No.